This is the most overlooked opportunity in all of the VA claim space. I'm going to show you exactly how to go from, in this simulated claim, from a 10% rating all the way up to a 90% rating conservatively through this strategy. And guess what? It applies to almost all of us. So make sure you buckle in, hit that like button, okay, and share this with fellow vets who need to hear this because there's so much misinformation. Stay to the very end because I'm going to even break down the math for you so you can see in real terms exactly how much more you're going to make from executing the strategy that's coming in this video. Let's get into it. Jordan Anderson, VA Claims Academy. Here we're going to talk about something called NSAIDs. NSAIDs. So these are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, aka the candy that all the doctors gave to us when we went to sick call during active duty, right? So what I have here is this situation. I'm going to show you how I break down this claim, how I would in real time when veterans come to me with these type of claims. So we have a veteran, he or she has a 10% rating. They tell me, hey, Coach Jordan, the culture was we never really went to the doctor, right? So I went one time because I sprained my ankle at PT, they gave me ice, they gave me ibuprofen, they sent me on my way. So most people would turn that down, right? Most people would say, hey, you don't have enough. There's no way you're going to get a high rating. Let me show you why that's wrong and exactly what you can do in this scenario. Because this person who's reaching out to me now, it was 20 years later, it was 10 years later, what have you, or maybe a transitioning service member even, right? I help a lot of those. But oftentimes it's very down the line. So now they have GERD, they have IBS, and they've got mental troubles. Here's why that is relevant to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. In the description below, you're going to see a couple things. You're going to see some scientific studies that tie non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs to things like GERD and IBS. GERD is gastroesophageal reflux disease. I'm glad I remember that on camera. And IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Can you get rated for both of these? Yes. Are they two separate ratings? Are they two separate conditions? Yes. Okay. Even though they're both stomach related, they both maybe have similar symptoms. These are two separate conditions entirely, and you can get compensated for both. I want to get that out the way. The second fundamental thing to get out the way here is that every new condition that we have diagnosed, okay, first of all, it can be a new condition. These are things that we're going to claim secondary to that initial ankle tweak, that initial shoulder impingement, that initial tendonitis, whatever it was that we got prescribed the ibuprofen for. That's what we're going to claim these secondary to. Thirdly, you will need a nexus letter for each of these, okay? For both of these right now, for GERD, you'll need a nexus letter claiming that GERD was at least as likely as not, well, more on that later, to have been caused by your ibuprofen, your prescription that you were given for your service-connected musculoskeletal injury. Let's get into it, right? So GERD. This is, acid reflux. You're having trouble swallowing things. You're having stomach acid come up and regurgitate into your esophagus. On average, really, we win a lot of 60% on GERD. But on average, let's be conservative. With bulletproof personal statements, we win a 30% for GERD, okay? On average for IBS, you win the max, which is a 30% IBS. These are things you're testing to the fact that you're switching between constipation and diarrhea, all right? So now we turn a 10% ankle tweak, whatever, into a 30% plus another 30% for the fact that, hey, these drugs come with side effects. Even ibuprofen. We look at ibuprofen, even though they gave us those, 800 milligram ones, it looks like a horse tablet. These drugs come with side effects, right? They have been shown through scientific evidence to be correlated with, guess what, damaging the stomach lining, overstimulating stomach acid production. You can link down in the description below. You don't have to be a doctor to be able to read and to know that these big pharmaceutical companies don't necessarily have your best interest at heart all the times. We've seen that a lot lately. Now, next, we're going to see that we're not done. 30 plus 30, that's great. That's more than the 10%. That's way more. But we're not done. If you are having these problems and you're having these stomach troubles, you ever hear the term, I had a gut feeling? Guess what? Because the gut has such an effect on our mental well-being and our emotional state. We have something called somatic symptom disorder, which is just being honest and vulnerable with ourselves, saying, hey, I can barely get off the pot. I can barely absorb my nutrients. I'm having a terrible health crisis because what does it matter that I'm eating healthy food if I can hardly absorb it? This is affecting my mental state. This is causing somatic symptom disorder, manifesting in things like anxiety, depression, what have you, and impairing me socially and occupationally. Those are the two key terms, social and occupational impairment. On average, we win a 70% rating for SSD, okay? On average, we win a 70% rating for SSD. Now you add these together. What started as a 10%, just a bump or a bruise, right? Got diagnosed with the knee pain, back pain, whatever you had. Got prescribed with ibuprofen. Now, years later, what have you, you were diagnosed with GERD, you were diagnosed with IBS, you were diagnosed with some mental stuff, right? Somatic symptom disorder. All these need a nexus letter. And do they need to have been proven to be caused by this? No. That's the thing. This is why you don't have to lie, you don't have to cheat at all to win these. All that you're saying is, and a doctor has to agree, that, hey, you know what? It's at least as likely as not that these were caused by the ibuprofen. The scientific literature is there. There is a correlation linked down in the description below. You can peruse those studies if you want. And these are the type of studies that I include in my personal statements and the lay evidence that I do for clients. It's at least as likely as not. And guess what? That grants you a nexus. Greater 50% or greater chance. That's all you need. You don't need to prove it. 50% or greater chance. Let's do some math here. You're going to want to see this. So we started off with $165 per month from our 10% rating for an ankle tweak or, shoulder, elbow, whatever, hip. Now we played a little bit of chess, not checkers. We were vulnerable and honest with ourselves and to the fact that, hey, this stuff is affecting me mentally. Now we took that $165 per month all the way up to $2,100 per month tax-free. You know why? Because you do the math, 30 plus 70% plus the initial 10%. You've run that through the VA calculator. That gives you 87% rating, okay? 87% actual rating, which is compensated at the 90% threshold. 90% threshold, which gives us over $2,100 every single month, tax-free pension for the rest of your life for your family. Put food on their table. Do you think that's worth it? Do you think that's executing? It's worth learning how to play chess and not checkers. I'm getting chills right now because veterans need to hear this. There's so much misinformation out there. So please share this to your Facebook with fellow veterans. Like the video. Make sure it does well so that people can hear this. And if this helped you, I want you to execute this strategy, okay? I want you to learn to think outside the box and take the paths. You don't have to lie. There are numerous paths to be able to go ahead and increase your percentage and get what you deserve. You're jacked up, you know you're jacked up, but you only have a 10% rating. It's time to expand and think outside the box. Hit the like button, check the link down in the description below for those scientific studies. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.